So, the first question, why is it inappropriate to ask a doctor to write a note to a school about when a child is safe to return after being taken to an ER doctor for a mental health crisis? I think that is inappropriate because the doctor has only seen the child that one time, and that's all they know about the child. They don't know other underlying factors. They've only seen the child once, so they can't determine what the child is going to do in the future. I think it would be different if it was someone who had been seeing the child for a long time, but yeah, not the doctor in the ER or that doctor for that one time. How would you deal with Tommy if he came back to your class after hospitalization? What questions would you have? So, if Tommy was in my class, and he was hospitalized, um, when he came back, I would talk to him pretty vaguely and just ask him if he wanted to talk about anything, just to kind of show him that I'm there for him, but he doesn't have to talk to me about things that don't make him comfortable if he doesn't want to. And then if he opens up, if I ask him that, then that's great, and if he doesn't open up, then that's okay too, because I know that he received help because he was in the hospital. Questions that I would have for him, I would ask him how, like, anything I could do in the classroom that would make him feel more loved, more appreciated. And I would, honestly, if this happened in my classroom, I feel like that would hurt me a lot. It would affect me a lot and the other students in my classroom. So I would, for sure, change some things, make it a more safe environment, and make it so the students feel comfortable talking about things and they can respect each other and be positive towards each other about literally anything. Yeah, I would ask him how we as a class could love him better. And that could even be a conversation with the whole class about what we could do to be more like a family. One other thing that I've seen some teachers do is I would ask him if he wanted to have like a notebook or like a private journal that he could write in, and he could keep it at school and keep it in like a safe spot. And then if he wanted me to read it, cool. If he didn't want me to read it, that's also cool. Just like a I don't know what to call it, an outlet for him to place his thoughts. Which article did you read and why did you choose that article? What connections did you make to the article? So I read the anxiety in students article because I'm learning about how anxiety can trigger behaviors and just like learning more about that, and then how anxiety can play a role in intervention plans. I never thought of, until probably this year, I never thought about anxiety being something that children have. I don't know why I thought that they couldn't have it, but I just associated it with like middle school and up. I never thought that anyone else could have it. Weird, I know. Excuse me. So while reading, I tried to picture different learners in my classroom, to see if I could see any of them having anxiety, and a few popped into my head, especially after reading the different signs that you could see. I think there's a fine line, because just because you see the symptoms doesn't mean like, oh, they have anxiety, because it could be anything. And I think everyone feels anxious sometimes, and that doesn't mean that they have anxiety or they need to get treated for it or anything like that, because there's a lot of other factors that can contribute. Yeah, it was interesting to read this because I have anxiety as an adult, and so I empathize a lot with others, especially I guess my students now that have anxiety. So just thinking about how I can help them and how that I can be someone out there for them is just, it's awesome to think about. Next question, or last question. What information from the mental health slides was pertinent or interesting to you as a teacher? Why? How does information presented help you as a teacher to understand classroom management? Um, so first, overall from the slides, I learned that it's important to not assume that you know what the child is going through. A student could be acting out or feeling lazy or being a bully or anything. Um, and there could be something else going on that you don't know anything about. And so I think that as teachers, we just need to stop and step back and not assume and not think that we know everything, because we're never going to know everything that happens on the bus, on the playground, even in the classroom, in the home, and with a child's family. I think that's a huge one too. Yeah, so the first is just not assuming. Second, I think it's important to know that in order to have anxiety that needs to be treated, it is occurring for more days than not for at least 6 months. It's not just the students' parents are going to be out of town, and so they're feeling super anxious because grandma and grandpa are coming to watch them, or they are getting a dog, or I don't know, literally anything that could go on at home. Kids are affected by a lot, and I've seen that a lot this year. One little change and they act like different people. So it's not, a lot of the times, it's not something that you should just send the child to like the counselor or a specialist or call their parents just because they're a little worried. Let's see, the third thing. So when I was reading about social anxiety disorder, that's something that I could see occurring a lot in a classroom. And with classroom management, if you have students that have a social anxiety disorder and you're trying to make them like talk in front of the whole class or do whatever in front of the whole class, that's going to cause a lot of issues, and I think that can be a rippling effect. So just being aware of that, and I think most of the time it's obvious to know who likes being in front of the class and who doesn't, but you never know. Fourth, it's common for people to be exposed to life-threatening traumatic events, and those really affect what happens in the classroom. We've already talked about these events and other posts that we've posted, but yeah, I've already seen some students in my classroom that have been affected by trauma that has happened earlier in their life or throughout their life, like parents fighting or divorce going on or something. And so just the trauma that I've seen, it's really emphasized that there needs to be a relationship between the teacher, the principal, and the school counselor and the parents, I guess, so you know what's going on and you can inform the parents of what happens at school. Fifth, I had no idea that OCD could occur in childhood. I don't know if I've only seen examples of adults like in movies and in real life and stuff, or I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I haven't seen any examples of any students in my class having OCD, but I think it's good to know that that can happen at a younger age just in case I do see it, and so I'm not completely shocked that that's something that I see.